What's doing, everybody? Today is Tuesday, July 29th. George Papadopoulos joins me on the podcast today. Tragic shooting in New York City leaves 4 civilians, 1 cop, and the perp dead. I'm AlecLace. This is the AlecLace Show.
The American family is under attack. Parents are the underdog of this nation. Your children are being indoctrinated. That's right. Your children. They do not belong to the state. They do not belong to the school system. They belong to you, the parents, as a blessing from God our Father. So let's preserve, protect, and fight for the American family together. You're listening to the AlecLace Show. The future is family.
All right, welcome everybody to the AlecLace Show. I'm happy and honored as always to be here with you guys. Thank you for tuning in. If you're watching the broadcast as it streams live on Rumble, please get down there, hit the share button. Let's get as many people into the live broadcast here as possible. Got a great program for you guys today. Got my friend George Papadopoulos coming back on the podcast. We're going to talk all about Obamagate, Russiagate, Tulsi Gabbard, and the rest of the Trump administration blowing this thing wide open. But first, we're going to get to the other breaking story. I'm going to cover these 2 stories today. We'll hit the stuff with Papadopoulos in a little bit. But the breaking news, obviously, yesterday was this active shooter situation that we had in New York City yesterday at 345 Park Avenue between 51st and 52nd Street. It was a guy now that we know as, who CNN reported was a white guy, by the way. They said, oh, he's a white guy. Shane Tamura. This is a guy that came from Las Vegas. He seemed to have targeted the NFL offices. More of that is coming out. They're linking this to like a CTE type of event. They're saying that might have been the possible motive here. But you had this, lunatic with a history of mental health issues, makes his way across the country, goes and targets these innocent people. We got some of the reports of some of these other victims. It was 4 people who were killed, civilians, and then a police officer who, by all accounts, died heroically. Which was this was a tragedy to see. You had this guy, young police guy, 36 years old, 2 kids. Wife is pregnant with his 3rd kid. He's only on the force about 3.5 years. He worked out at a 4-7 precinct up in the Bronx. He took pride in becoming an American citizen. He's working overtime on this gig to help pay for the family. And this maniac comes in and he's dead. Dedarulum Islam is the guy's name. I think I botched that up, and I apologize. But he's a guy who won't be coming home to his family because of this maniac who now, we're going to find more and more about. But like I said, the CNN, they put the picture up right away. They said, oh, it's a white guy. And that's CNN for you. You wonder why their ratings are in the toilet and nobody pays any attention to them whatsoever. But you have also, here's this Blackstone employee who was killed. Another guy, another family guy. But here's the main thing. The left is blaming gun violence. You know they're going to do this. They're going to politicize every one of these things. Never let a good crisis go to waste. That is the play. And, of course, it's come out. More acts of gun violence. More acts of gun violence. And so here's the picture I want to put up to show you what's going on here. This is a picture of a couple of guys in an office building piling against the door in a desperate attempt to try to barricade themselves in their room. They're barricading the door with office furniture, a couch, the table, the chairs. And you could see in this picture, they're helpless. They are unarmed. They are desperate. They're scared. And that's exactly how Democrat politicians want you. Now, remember, this is a gun-free zone. New York City, this is a gun-free zone. You're not allowed to carry your gun. Gun-free. The only person that's allowed to carry a gun is the criminal. And that is the entire stupidity of the gun control argument. And here is the case. Look no further than this. This picture is how the Democrats want you. Helpless, frightened, defenseless, scared. You know, in this picture right here, one of these 2 guys was either thinking or said to the other, I wish I had a gun right now. Now, maybe the guy comes in the door and you shoot it out and you die anyway. But at least you die fighting. At least you have a chance to defend yourself. Here, the guy gets shoots his way into the barricade. What are you doing? You're begging for your life. It's all over. You have no chance. At least if you have a gun in your pocket, you say, you know what? I got a little confidence here. I have a chance. This guy comes through the door. I'm firing lead. And you have a chance to defend yourself. But that is not the way Democrat politicians want you. They want you scared and defenseless and helpless and desperate as the criminal comes walking through, with no care in the world of your gun laws because they don't affect him. He comes in with his gun. He ends 5 people's lives, and it's a tragic situation. And you can look to see just the other day in Michigan where you had a maniac, another lunatic, stabbing people with a knife. And what happened? How did he stop? A good guy pulled out a gun and said, take another step and I'll blow you away. And that was the end of the situation. The guy was an ex-Marine, had a gun, pulled it out, boom, problem solved. If he didn't have the gun, more people were going to get stabbed. Which leads to the real problem that's going on in our country is the mental health issue that we have. These were 2 lunatics. You just had the knife-wielding lunatic and the gun-wielding lunatic. Both of them mentally unstable. We know the guy in New York, a history of some mental illness, and that has got to be dealt with. It's the only way to curb some of this violence, and we all see it. If you ever walk through New York City, I'm sure it's in all these every other city that I have visited. I've traveled quite a bit. I'm sure you've seen it in these other cities as well. You are walking around with a bunch of lunatics on the street that belong in an insane asylum, and you've got to bring them back. I know Trump is working hard to bring back Alcatraz to put our violent criminals in there. Yes, we got law and order. But we have got to bring back whatever nice name you want to call it, mental health facility. You got to bring back, a loony bin, a psych ward, an insane asylum. You have to bring these things back because these lunatics are walking all over the place, and everyone's afraid of them. And you see them on the street, you got to act like you don't see them. You don't dare make eye contact with them. They're out of their minds. They'll kill you over a nickel. But we're supposed to accept the fact that these people are walking around our society instead of a locked cage where they belong. Now, here's the other issue too is, the mental health issue. We have mental health awareness. There's so much talk about the mental health. Everybody's being diagnosed with mental health issues. That's the other problem here. They're doing it with prescription drugs that are making billions of dollars. I think everybody between the ages of like maybe 30 and up, everyone's on some kind of mental health drug. They got everybody on mental health drugs. And 99% of these people that are being prescribed medication for mental health issues probably have none at all. But it's such a con job, and it's become such a thing. Oh, mental health awareness. It's like, no, you have some people that are completely insane. You don't use a drug to help these people. You put them in a safe place, out of society. That's how you help these people. Whatever you have to do, build a nice little Disneyland resort. We're blowing our taxpayer money on every other friggin' thing in the country. And we're sending it overseas. We're spending it on us. We can't build a few insane asylums to stick these people. The hell, you got half these people living off welfare anyway, right? They're living on welfare. They're using the government assistance. They're staying in all these other things. They're halfway using the taxpayer money anyway. May as well stick them in a rubber room instead of sticking them out here with the general population. The guy with the knife, guy who's a lunatic, guy with the gun, lunatic, shouldn't be on the streets, but it's the gun problem. So now they want to allow these lunatics to walk around on the street. They want to take your gun away, and then they want to defund the police. I mean, it's almost as if they're just trying to kill you. Here's the Zoran Mamdini. This is the guy that's going to become the mayor of New York City, whether you like it or not. This is the guy that's going to become mayor of the city. Here's one of his posts. I know people were putting them up yesterday like crazy. Here's the one that I put up. This was from Zoran Mamdini. This is about 2 years ago, whatever it was. We don't need an investigation to know that the NYPD is racist, anti-queer, and a major threat to public safety. What we need is to defund the NYPD. But your deal with the New York City mayor uses budget tricks to keep as many cops as possible on the beat. No to fake cuts. defund the police. So that's the guy that's going to become mayor of the city. And the socialist communist experiment is going to play out in our face in New York, where they are going to defund the police, where you are going to have, what kind of quality of police are you going to have when you have them, right? They're going to make sure you don't have a right to carry a gun, and they're going to have lunatics allowed to walk around on the street. I mean, this is a recipe for a complete disaster here. I mean, this almost sounds like like if you were going to write a story, it wouldn't even be believable. You're going to let lunatics out on the street, take guns away from the civilians, and defund the police. Like, it almost sounds like it's just a stupid script that you'd be like reading it and say, no one's going to buy this bullshit story. Get this out of here. That's what's about to play out in New York City. Now, this guy is talking about some CTE issues now. You know that the NFL is going to come down and quickly stomp that out. They ain't going to go for that. The NFL is not going to allow that to get out there. So this is a kid, apparently played football. He was 27 years old. I don't know the last time he put on the pads. He was a high school star. I think he played some football in Canada or something. He had some beef with the NFL about his CTE, apparently, and he was targeting. He went there specifically, it looks like, to target the NFL offices. We know through Roger Goodell saying that the one guy that is in critical condition is one of their guys. That seems to have been the target. It's going to open up these questions about CTE. What's been, what is the truth? What's been covered up about it? How dangerous is it? You have two completely different sides of that coin. You have people that are in the CTE camp is crushing the youth in this country that are growing up playing these contact sports. You have the other side of the coin that says CTE is nothing but BS. It's a non-factor. So you have two competing sides to this. What is the truth, right? Do we know how many studies have been done on this? What is the outcome? What are your risks? Meanwhile, we keep encouraging kids to play contact sports, to play football. I've interviewed, I don't know how many hundred of NFL players, asked them if they would let their kids play tackle football. Many of them said never would let them play. A lot of them said they wouldn't let them play till high school. It's a dangerous thing. It's almost like we know cigarettes are no good for you. They kill you. Here it is. We know we're putting our kids in a situation where they could develop a brain trauma, a brain injury, and we're just like, yeah, hey, it's a risk, but it's worth it because they like the game. They're going to play it, even though they're going to get their head bashed in and possibly be have CTE down the line. So be it. I mean, that's what we're doing here. So we need the studies. We need them fast. We need transparency. But the NFL is a $1 billion industry. You think they're going to put out anything there that's going to crush the NFL? Not in a million years. So I don't know what the truth is with CTE. I have no idea. I played high school football. I got my head beat in a little bit outside of football as well. I don't know. Is there any truth to it? I really couldn't tell you. So are we going to find out the truth? I highly doubt it. Now, here's the truth. They got you disarmed in a gun-free zone, and they're taking away the handcuffing the police who are afraid of their own shadow to do anything, and they got lunatics walking around on the street. That's the facts that we know. And you got to be crazy to want to be a cop today. Absolutely crazy. God bless all you police officers out there, you police families that are out there. My hat is off to you. Better you than me. I don't know how in the world you do this job. You can't win with this job. And one thing that I will mention, and I mentioned it when I put a little piece out on this yesterday, was that the police chatter, if you listened to the scanner yesterday as this was going down, it was wild. I mean, this was a huge response. But the police scanner, it was like chaos. Your communication was terrible. At one point, the dispatcher is yelling at everybody, hey, shut up. I want only the superior officer speaking right now. I mean, they couldn't get the stories. It was like panic mode over there. It was very eye-opening to listen to, especially when you've listened to, like I said, if you go back, you can listen to the 9/11, September 11 dispatch as it plays out through the day. You can relive the whole day through the NYPD dispatch, FDNY dispatch, and what you'll notice is how calm and professional everybody is. And it's amazing. As this is unfolding, they know this is a terror attack. It's the worst one that ever had in our history. But they're going through it in real time, and the calmness, professionalism of these people on the radio was amazing. You compare that to yesterday with a single incident shooter in a building, and it was like all hell. It was like chaos. So I don't know if that has to do with the NYPD training that's going on or what, but it did just something. And again, I'm not a cop. I am a pro cop person. I God bless them for what they do. But something didn't sound right yesterday on that scanner. Like it sounded like they need to get that straightened out. And again, what is the quality of people that they are going to be hiring? Because number one, the old school guy that was a cop, so his son became a cop and his kid became a cop, them days are over. I mean, these people that are cops got the hell out, whether it was because of COVID or whatever other reason, and they ain't telling their kids to go and join the force. So you got a smaller pool to pick from to begin with, and the people they're looking for are social justice warriors. So it's a disaster that's coming here. So I don't know. I do know that you have these people, tragically lost their lives. CNN, of course, jumped on the story. Oh, it's a white guy. But you got people barricaded in their room, helpless and defenseless, exactly the way that the Democrats see you and want you. And you know what? The gun-free zone worked. I mean, that's how it's designed to work. The gun-free zone is designed to keep the citizen helpless. I mean, that's what it is. Don't bring your gun in here. The criminal came in, no problem. There's not a single gun law you're ever going to pass that criminals are going to abide by. And if you think they will, you are the dumbest person on the face of the planet. And you should be removed from the conversation with adults. There is no gun laws that are going to stop the criminals. Zero. To say it makes you sound stupid. But the Democrats are going to we have to have sensible gun control laws. Sensible gun control laws. Get out of here. The guy traveled across state lines with his guns, walking around New York City with breaking every gun zone law that there is. That's it. Case closed. You just compare what happened in Michigan. Guy with the gun stops the threat. Here it is. The only reason that this thing got stopped yesterday is because the guy killed himself. Otherwise, who knows how many more people would have been taken out. All right, so let's do this. Let's turn our attention here now to the other thing. Again, God bless the people. Our prayers are with the families of the deceased. It's a tragic situation. I know we all talk about it, and it's we're going to all put our little spins on it or nerves. At the end of the day, you got people who just went to work on a normal day, had plans for the week. It was a Monday. Oh, it's a Monday. It's a tough week. They just came off of a weekend. And now that's it. Their life is over. Just like that, man. I mean, it's that fleeting. All of it. And you never know. Like, we take it all for granted. We say it all the time. But it's like, here's these people. They just went to work yesterday. And that's it. We're talking about them on the news. Their lives are over. Lives are destroyed. For those families, time has now stopped. Everyone else is going on with their day today, drinking coffee. How you been? What are you doing this weekend? For these people right now, they're frozen in time. Their worlds has completely ended. And it's just like that, man. It's sad and tragic. You can do nothing really but pray for these people. And pray for our country and for New York City. So one of the things now I want to switch to here is the criminal organization of the left, Obama and Clinton and all these scumbags that set up President Donald Trump with this Russia hoax that dragged him down during his administration. They undermined him. They used the media, which was complicit, so happy to try to throw Trump under the bus and Russiagate and all this other stuff. It was all nonsense. Trump's first presidency went from Russiagate to COVID. That was it. That was the whole presidency. They tried to undermine him at every turn. Now, at the beginning of this entire saga, where it all started was with George Papadopoulos. When this guy, what's the guy's name? Joseph Mifsud approaches George Papadopoulos with some information about Hillary Clinton and the Russia, and the entire thing kicks off. We get Operation Crossfire Hurricane. We investigate Trump to Russia. George Papadopoulos ends up in jail. Trump later pardons him. You've got General Michael Flynn. You've got all this conspiracy to tie Trump to Russia, conspiring with the Russians. And we find out, which we knew, it was all bullshit. The whole thing was a setup from the very beginning. Orchestrated, well-planned, organized, and designed to take down President Donald Trump and his supporters. and the faith that the people have in the guy that they just voted for. That was the truth. That was what they did. They wanted to undermine that guy's presidency. And at the beginning of it all, George Papadopoulos. So you got to follow George Papadopoulos on X. If you're interested in the Obama Gate, the Russia Gate, what's going on with Tulsi Gabbard and these declassified documents, he's the guy to follow because he was, nobody wants to see justice, I would imagine, more than him. And it has been crazy to watch. We want to see accountability. I want to get his take on some of the stuff that we've heard from Tulsi Gabbard. We got CIA Director Radcliffe involved here. We're supposed to be getting more documents. And the big question, will we get any kind of accountability? So let's do it. Let's bring George Papadopoulos back on the podcast.
Hi, I'm Emily, and I'm at the White House with my dad, and you're watching The AlecLace Show.
You're listening to The AlecLace Show. The future is family.
All right, here we go. Joining me now, George Papadopoulos. Welcome back to The AlecLace Show.
It's great to be with you, Alec. Thanks.
Well, obviously, you're the first person I thought of when I saw the whole thing blow open with Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard dropping these bombshell tweets, and then come into the White House press briefing. I was a little upset because I was going to go down to that press briefing. I went to the one prior the week before and decided not to go, and then I watched and she came out. I said, "Oh man, I should have been there for this briefing." But I can only imagine your take on what's going on here. So, give me your initial response to this, explosive report, this whole thing going down that Tulsi broke open.
Yeah, I guess the easiest way to summarize it would say, so they used to say, meaning, people in the conservative world or people that thought there was corruption, that this was Hillary's plan. That's not the truth. It wasn't Hillary's plan. It was their plan. And what do I mean by their plan? Meaning there was an entire cabal that was involved in undermining candidate Trump, President Trump, 75 to 80 million MAGA voters that voted for President Trump, his campaign, and it was all directed and led by one person. That was President Obama. We never had that answer before. That's why what DNI Gabbard did was so consequential and so history-making, because Trump had former DNIs. He had people that ran the CIA, the FBI under his first administration. They specifically did not declassify this information. And they kept Donald Trump, President Trump, on the back pedal for his first 4 years. Now he has new people in charge, new leadership positions, and people like Gabbard are going to go down in history as some of the most transparent cabinet members ever that provided accountability.
Well, I think the important thing you say there, too, is because a lot of people keep saying, like, oh, Trump had 4 years. He was there. How come nothing came up? But it's just like you said, there were so many people in that administration, even Mike Pompeo, for one. Like, I remember doing an interview with Pompeo when he was when he was there, Secretary of State. And I was all in. I was like, oh, Mike Pompeo, this guy might be a presidential candidate. He's doing great, But it turns out this guy was a snake in the grass, too. So many people in that first Trump administration were in there specifically to undermine him. And it wasn't as if they came in there and then all of a sudden turned against him. They went in there with the intent to undermine him.
Well, that's exactly what happened. And they undermined the most critical pillar of MAGA and what Trump's presidency and candidacy has been since 2015. It was about draining the swamp. He popularized that sentence or that phrase because that's what he was going into DC as an outsider to do. Many presidents, if they're somewhat competent, right, they can sign a series of executive orders, impose tariffs, build a wall, and renegotiate trade deals the way that President Trump has done, right? That's been an incredible feat that other presidents were unable to do, including this recent trade agreement with the EU, with Japan, with other major economies, building the wall. That was all part of the promise of Donald Trump getting into the office. But draining the swamp and exposing corruption at the highest level of government on the left and the right, I would argue, was the critical reason people voted for President Trump to come in. And that's why, some would argue that the Epstein rollout, kind of was almost like a self-inflicted wound, but they're fixing that. And you had people, like you said, during his first term, that were preventing him from draining the swamp. So he was always on the back pedal from day one until now, where he realized how important issues are to his voters, like Epstein, like Obama Gates, like corruption at the FBI, the CIA, the weaponization of government, the two-tier justice system. I would argue these are even more important than inflationary numbers or the border for millions of American voters out there. And President Trump is taking on all of these issues simultaneously and doing the right thing.
Yeah, it's amazing to watch him work. And just like you said, in his first term there, not only was he backpedaling or couldn't get his feet underneath him because of all this, then just, 2 years into this, as he was trying to campaign for reelection, we had the COVID that hit, and that kind of shut down everything that was going to have a chance of happening. It was like no more looking. But one of these things, the question has been raised, and of course, we all want to see accountability for this. We understand, we get the juice of this, which is great. And, the media we'll get into in a second about their part in all this. But the question is raised. Can Barack Obama be impeached and then be charged for this? Because he has presidential immunity, but can he be impeached? That question has been raised. What is your understanding of this?
Yeah, my understanding of this, and they've had constitutional attorney. I'm not an attorney, but I've been watching very closely to hear what constitutional experts have been saying about the situation. The Democrats set the precedent, Alec. They impeached and put President Trump through a trial after he left office. So obviously he was acquitted on all charges in the first impeachment and the second impeachment. So they set the precedent that a former president, meaning the Democrats, set the precedent that a former president can be impeached when they're out of office. Now, if he's impeached, that basically removes his presidential immunity, because once you're impeached and convicted, now, I don't know if we're going to have strong enough Republicans in the Senate to actually convict. That's another issue. But let's just assume, for the sake of argument, that he's convicted. He is no longer able to hold the title of somebody in government, meaning his immunity is stripped. Then they will make the argument that he can be prosecuted if he actually committed crimes. But that's a very long process, a very arduous process, delving into a lot of legalities, a lot of political obstacles. We'll see how far it goes, but certainly this question has been raised, and there have been legal experts that have addressed it.
And it'd be interesting to watch. And like you said, do we give the GOP a spine, to actually do this? That's a whole another question in a category. But to watch the media, the way that they react to this, it's like it's the biggest political scandal in the history of our country, and they're part of the ones that perpetrated this thing, because they loved every second of it. They couldn't get enough of it. The Trump Russia. They was, whether they didn't even want to look into it to see whether or not it was true, because they were so excited that it was happening. They were foaming at the mouth, back during Trump's first administration. And now that this is all, do you think it's the media doesn't want to get into the fact of the truth here because it makes them look like idiots, that they didn't cover the biggest scandal that was going on in history, no investigative journalism at the time? Or do you think it's just because they still want to undermine and do everything they can to hurt Trump, or both of them?
Well, the short answer is I think the media was in on it. And I'll just give you examples, right? Because in 2017, 18, I would go out of my way to try to speak to the mainstream media to give them information that was later declassified that undermined the whole collusion narrative. They intentionally would not report what I would tell them. They would almost try to, push me away and other people away once we started giving new facts. I remember my girlfriend, now wife, she would go on television at the time, and then they would, the moment she started going against the narrative, they tried to paint her as something she wasn't, to undermine her. So they were in on it. They were completely involved in this attempt. And what they were actually running cover for, in the most simple way I could say it is, Barack Obama left a ticking time bomb in the hands of the Trump administration on a timer that they expected would have exploded within 6 to 8 months of Trump's first term. Trump would have likely been impeached, convicted, definitely, removed from office. History would have been written with the narrative of the Obama administration, falsities, innuendo, and we would literally be living in a different world today, Alec. History would have been written in a way that, 100 years from now, our children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren will be reading history books, and they would be considering an ex-president as a Russian stooge. If I didn't fight back, if President Trump didn't fight back, if you didn't seek the truth, if others didn't seek the truth, that's how crazy the situation is, and why I think Trump is on a warpath to expose this, because he understands how important it is to the legacy of the office of the executive, of American history, and also bilateral relations with the US, Europe, US, Russia, and China. It involves so many different aspects that Trump is finally correcting.
It's amazing how big, how deep this whole thing is. And now the guy that approached you, that kind of kicked this whole thing off, that launched the Crossfire Hurricane, this Joseph Mifsud. I don't know if I'm saying that name right, but it's like this is the guy that approached you. The question is, was this guy an asset? A CIA asset, an FBI like what is? Do we have any more information? Is Tulsi Gabbard releasing more information that's going to finally answer that question of who was this guy working for? What was his deal? And that's kind of really what kicked this whole thing off.
Yeah, you know what's crazy about this person that you just mentioned, this guy Mifsud. I think probably we're going on 8 years ago, 2017, let's say 2018. He gave an interview the moment his name went public or my name went public, and he said, "I don't know what's going on here. I'm a Clinton supporter, and actually, I've helped the Clinton Foundation." He gave that interview in one of the Italian newspapers. After that interview, he's literally fallen off the face of the planet. So for 8 years almost, this guy who was connected to the US government, the highest levels of the European Union, made his entire business and life off lobbying governments, teaching courses in universities, falls off the face of the planet the moment he says he's connected to Clinton. One thing all these people have in common, Alec, they all are connected to either the Clinton Foundation, the Hillary Clinton campaign, the leftists, Soros, the globalists, or the intelligence services. I think this guy was working with a combination of the CIA and some governments in Europe. I think that's why President Trump has been speaking a lot to governments like the UK, Italy, others to really find out who this guy was, why he was hiding out in Italy. And I think with DNI Gabbard and Radcliffe in charge, we're going to get the answer because this guy launched it. If we don't have an answer and why Durham, Special Counsel Durham covered him up, we're never going to get to the bottom of this stuff. So I think this is an absolutely critical question, meaning who was this guy? Who was running him? Where is he now? And just bring him in for testimony and let him tell a story to the American public.
Yeah, so he's saying pro Clinton, I'm pro Clinton, and he was involved with Clinton. Then he's giving you, oh, we have dirt on Hillary Clinton. Like, so something doesn't make any sense there. Now, I noticed on X there you had keyed up on these two guys, Stefan Halper and Alexander Downer. Why are you keying on these two guys and saying keep an eye on them and see what happens? How do they tie into this whole thing?
Yeah, so Alexander Downer was the Australian so-called diplomat that was trying to trip me up with this guy Mifsud. Now, I reported Downer to the FBI. I said he was spying on me. When Downer was at the head of the foreign ministry in Australia, he gave $25 million of Australian taxpayer money to the Clinton Foundation. He was a personal friend of Hillary and Bill Clinton, and I believe he was in on an operation. And I think Congressman Matt Gaetz would also agree with that. And I think he's been privy to some information. Now, Stefan Halper, he's been outed as an FBI informant that was trying to trip up General Flynn. Myself, he was trying to involve himself in the campaign. And the two things that these guys have in common, do you know what it is? That they had connections to the British intelligence services, to Australian intelligence services. So that's why this scandal is so complicated, because it doesn't just involve the FBI. It involves foreign governments, foreign intelligence services, the CIA, different agencies, and these two guys basically represent that.
And you had Clapper and Comey that visited Australia at some point during this whole thing, correct?
That's absolutely correct. So basically, Clapper and Comey are going on a secret mission to Australia in February or March of 2016, about exactly the same time that I'm joining the Trump campaign. And what happens a month after these guys go to Australia? You have all of these Australian agents swarming around me in London. They're going around the campaign. They're trying to screw with the campaign. I mean, this entire thing, if you look at what Radcliffe and everyone's declassifying, it literally shows a conspiracy pre-planned. It's as if they teamed up with intelligence agencies and said, how are we going to create a situation to frame these people? And that's what they did. And Hillary Clinton, while she's guilty by association, she was running up against Trump. She had all the interest to dirty up Trump. The intelligence services should have been apolitical. They should have never gotten involved with what they did. But as I said at the beginning of our conversation, Alec, it wasn't her plan. It was their plan. They all teamed up together and they concocted this to try to take out Trump, and it failed.
Well, why do you think they chose you to start this whole thing? What was it about you? These just opportunity? That was just because you were there, or you think in their plan on the chalkboard, you think it was like we're going to target Papadopoulos? He's the guy we're going to get to start this thing. Why do you think they targeted you to drop this thing off?
You know what I think, Alec? I think I'm going to be proven right. I think this goes way further back than Crossfire Hurricane. I think they were looking at different campaigns. I was working for Ben Carson's presidential campaign first. I was an advisor on Carson's campaign. Carson was actually the only candidate that actually led in the polls against Trump at any time during the 2016 election season. He had 10 to 12% of the electorate, and his endorsement, I would argue, got Trump the nomination, and that's what torpedoed Ted Cruz and some of these other guys after Iowa. So being on his campaign, I think that they were already spreading their tentacles around different campaigns, spying on campaigns, trying to infiltrate campaigns and said, wait a minute, we kind of had some info on this guy, Papadopoulos. He used to work in DC. There were some things he was doing that were up against Obama's policies. Now let's follow him into Trump's campaign. And now that Trump's a nominee, let's use Papadopoulos, who was based in Europe for some time, use all of these intelligence services from different countries so that the FBI doesn't get involved. And that's how they tripped me up or tried to trip me up. And I think that's what we're going to find out as things get declassified.
It's crazy that what you've been through this. It really is, George. And just to finish up here, like, what is next for Tulsi Gabbard, the DNI Tulsi Gabbard to kind of declassify here? What is the next? What are you hoping that she could actually? Is there? What's the next document? What's the next thing that you're hoping that could maybe be the link to blow it all open here?
The thing that's going to be the link that blows everything open is to declassify every file that went into the planning of Crossfire Hurricane. That's how you're going to prove a government conspiracy. You're not going to prove a government conspiracy just by declassifying things about a December meeting, because December was after Crossfire Hurricane. They could argue that there was an ongoing investigation, blah, blah, blah. If you declassify all of these steps that we've been talking about that went into setting me up, Flynn, Manafort, Carter Page, looking into different campaigns, how Obama might have been running all that, that's how you prove that this entire thing was pre-planned. It involved Clinton and the rest of them. And I think that's what Gabbard is going to expose. And I think that's going to be the next shoe that drops. And that's what's going to lead to the ultimate indictments.
Well, I hope so. What's your take on Radcliffe here, CIA director here? Doing enough, not enough? Want to see more?
Yeah, look, just yesterday, Radcliffe declassified some other documents that were basically alluding to what we're talking about here today. That the Clinton campaign basically set this thing up in motion, and the FBI knew that it was a Clinton plan, but they just went along with it. So it kind of proves what I'm saying here, that it was a pre-planned operation, because I don't think the Clinton campaign, unless they knew that the FBI was in the tank for them, would have taken some illegal plot to them and said, now go after my political opponent. That makes no sense. Yeah. The only way her campaign manager or her herself would have been open about this stuff is if they knew that FBI and the CIA would have done her dirty work. That's what happened. So Radcliffe is declassifying it. I think he's a patriot. I think he's doing the right thing. And I think when he says that they're going to be indictments, I believe him.
Man, this thing is so crazy. Yeah, if she knew she had them in the pocket, then that's why she goes. She's not going to roll the dice and say, "Oh, we'll see here. We'll poke the bear." But they were all working together for you. I mean, I know for us guys out here, we want to see, Obama in the handcuffs. We want to see those memes come to life, right? Him in the Bronco and Trump chasing him down the street, But for you, the guy that's been through so much of this stuff, what's justice look like for you? I mean, what are you hoping to see at the end result of this thing? Is it prison time? Is it just the truth? I mean, what is justice for you in the end of this?
Well, I think the truth is going to result in them being in handcuffs, right? So let's start with the truth. Let's get the truth out. I have nothing to hide. President Trump has nothing to hide. Flynn has nothing to hide. No one has anything to hide on our side. So when you have nothing to hide, you want transparency. When you're guilty, you want things hidden. They want things hidden. We don't. Expose everything from before Crossfire Hurricane, everything that went to Crossfire Hurricane, what Obama and the rest of them were really up to. All of that I expect is going to result in indictments. And if they're indicted and convicted, all the better. If they're indicted and not convicted, I guess that's the process. The most important thing here is, Alec, getting it all out to the American public. Don't forget, we have a midterms right around the corner. This stuff torpedoed Trump's midterms the first time around. This time around, it could help us in the midterm, and it could destroy the Democrat Party and strengthen MAGA's grip on the political electorate. And that's really, at the end, all I care about.
Yeah, and tarnish this Obama's legacy the way it should be. It would be great too to see him go down in flames. So, Joe, what do you got going on here? You got anything coming up? You want to promote here? I got to put the link to your X account down. I know you're over there in Italy right now. So, what do you got coming up?
Yeah, no. So yeah, my wife and I, we started this new podcast. You've been on the show at Global View. We're having a great time with that. We're working on some new documentaries that we're going to be releasing some info about, and you can just follow me on X at George Papa 19, dropping a lot of info as a lot of stuff gets declassified. So follow me on there and stay updated.
You're a definite follower as this thing is all going on and breaking. So, George Papadopoulos, grateful to have you on. Love to have you back on down the line. Thanks for joining me on the AlecLace Show.
Anytime, Alec. Thanks.
All right. Grateful to George Papadopoulos for joining me on the podcast today. What do you guys think about the interview? Again, he's been very sought after since this entire thing broke. Nobody wants to see justice more than him. This has affected his life personally. It's played a major role in his life. What they did to him was atrocious. What they did to, Flynn, what they did to Trump, what they did to his family. These people need to pay. And I pray that we see it. But you got to follow Papadopoulos on X as this thing all plays out. He'll be on top of everything, as you can imagine. So keep an eye on him. Watch his podcast, The Global View. I got the link down there, description below, to his X account and his podcast. Always grateful. Listen, every time I ask him to come on the show, he's another one. Always does it. I've never once reached out and he said, nah, I can't do it. He's never once done that. Every time I've asked him, he's come on the show. And I'm grateful for that. And I know right now everybody's had him on. Matt Gaetz. Everyone wants him on because he's the guy that was in the arena when this whole thing went down. So I really appreciate him taking the time to come and speak with me on the podcast here. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. And, as this all continues, I'd love to get him back on the podcast again because, we're going to learn more, but we do want to see the accountability piece. I mean, we want to see people in handcuffs. We want to see people paying a price. And the media, I'm telling you, it's like, you call them journalists. I call them activists. I mean, I've seen them in real time behind the scenes down there at the White House. I mean, I see what's going on. These aren't journalists. Like, we're so used to thinking that we turn on the news, they're telling us the whole thing is fake. And Trump coined the term, and it's 1,000% accurate. It's fake news. It's agenda driven. There is an agenda, and they drive it. And it's like, these are the same people that had the opportunity to break this thing open. If someone would have had journalistic integrity as this whole thing was unfolding with the Russiagate, they could have been. But you know what? I guess maybe even if you did, it was impossible because the station would let you go. Like whoever you're working with. We've seen that too. We've seen people break away from mainstream media, start their own podcasts, and start talking the truth. And that's what happens. People are on to these, CNN, even Fox, MSNBC. You have to speak a certain way. Otherwise, you're out. You can't go off on a tear. We saw that with Tucker. The minute he went against the grain, he's out. You see it on CNN. Like you can't go on there and start speaking the truth. You have to talk and follow the agenda, and that's it. Otherwise, you're out. But these guys, John Brennan, James Comey, James Clapper, Hillary Clinton. I mean, we need to see accountability for all this stuff. Where is the media doing their you had people get the Pulitzer Prize for writing pure propaganda, fake news nonsense. Media was complicit, just as George Papadopoulos said there, and they didn't want to find the truth. Because the truth was that Trump did not collude with Russia. And it's like, it's so tiring that you have all this. And, of course, the media now is going to be using the Epstein to distract from the Obamagate. And we're going to get more about the Epstein. Now, and we're going to get more from the Ghislaine Maxwell. Of course, now the media, which was saying, Ghislaine Maxwell will bury Trump. Now it's, Ghislaine Maxwell is going to protect Trump. It's like, no matter which way it goes, they're going to play it the way that it's, Trump was guilty with Epstein. Trump was guilty with the Russiagate. Trump. 10 years of this. And he's beaten them at every turn. Everything they've thrown at him, he's come out better than them. And I was there in the Rose Garden on Liberation Day to hear all these, you call them, again, journalists, I call them activists, all of them laughing at the tariffs, all of them mocking it on camera and worse behind the scenes, laughing about it. But they're not laughing about it now because now they're eating crow on all these stations talking about these historic deals that Trump is getting as everyone flocks and runs to the table to get the best deal that they can. We just saw that with the EU. The EU, who's fighting from a defenseless position. They're buried. And Trump knows that. And he's using the leverage that he has on them to get them to come to the table and give us the better deal. And that's what he did. And now CNN has to admit it. I mean, this is a $1.3 trillion deal that he got done. And you can't ignore it. And it's happening because the way he has played the tariff game. And they are working. They are effective. And it is historic what he's doing. But they can't give him any credit for it. They have to find little things. And, it's so stupid. And this is a great thing that Trump is doing for our country. And he's got these other countries now coming. The question to ask is, why didn't any other president do this? Didn't any other president want us to win the trade war? Didn't any other president want us to be number one when it comes to trade? Didn't we want to be the ones that were taking advantage of other countries instead of other countries taking advantage of us? No other president before Trump decided to say, hey, we're getting raked over the coals here when it comes to trade. No more. We're not doing this anymore. Nobody else did that? So that's why you love President Donald Trump. As he continues to make these trade deals, it's fun to watch. And it's fun to watch the media meltdown and the left meltdown. What's not fun to watch is the fact that thinking they're going to get away with what they did. And, that's why I asked Papadopoulos about the presidential immunity. Trump has admitted that. Obama, yes, he has the presidential immunity. But could he be impeached and then be charged? I mean, now, I don't know. Papadopoulos seems to believe that that's a possibility. It could be. I don't know the legalese of any of it. I just feel like it's highly unlikely just because we have the GOP, which never seems to want to put the nail in the coconut. They just seem to want to play games. I mean, we're seeing that now with them. They want to go on recess. They're going to come back from recess just to clock in so Trump can't do a recess appointment. I mean, it's total nonsense what we see from the GOP. It's so hard to watch. If it was the Democrats, you better believe there'd be handcuffs. We saw it. We don't need to believe it. We saw it in real time. So the faith that you have to have in the GOP is what makes it hard to believe that you're going to see the results that we should be seeing from what we are uncovering or what Tulsi or Gabbard is uncovering here. And so we'll see how it plays out. All right, so I just kind of wanted to hit those two stories there. A quick hitter for you guys today. Thursday on the podcast, I got my friend Roger Stone coming back to the podcast. So looking forward to that. Make sure you tune in. Bring it back for that here. If you've missed out on any of the previous episodes, go through the archives. Check out some of the interviews. I've had some great guests on lately. So go through and check that out. Doing my best to get the best guests possible for you guys. Again, grateful to George Papadopoulos for joining me on the show today. Bring it back here on Thursday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that's what I got for you guys here. Again, our prayers for the victims in the New York City shooting yesterday. We'll learn more about that as the days go on. Stay safe out there. All you can say is stay armed, stay prepared. And, we have millions of people in this country right now looking to do us harm. So you got to stay ready. Locked and loaded. God bless you parents and you listeners out there. God bless our police and our first responders. God bless our military, our veterans. God bless America. And I'll catch you guys on Thursday. Take care.
You're listening to the AlecLace Show. The future is family.